Hello everyone, so welcome to Worksheet 1.2 in the C Programming for Beginners series. Okay, so now we're going to be actually diving in to a really basic C program. Okay, so let's start. Okay, I'm just going to explain all of this here. Okay, so this is actually our very first C programming code. Okay, so now let's start with the first one. And in the first one, we actually are including a library. Okay, one thing to note is that C program, the first time it starts is actually like a baby. It doesn't know anything. Okay, so right now we have to assign a library so that it can actually refer to the library. So what do I mean by that? So we have all these lines of code. Okay, if we do not assign a library, it doesn't know what this code means. Okay, so what basically happens is you put a library over here. It goes to the second line. It says int main void, and to make sense of this line, it goes to the library and searches what does this line mean. So it's basically how we function as well. If we don't know anything, we go to a library, read a book, and we understand something. So basically, this is something similar as well. Okay, so this is actually very important. So for the first few programs that we're going to do, we're going to use standard input and output.h. Okay, or in short, and in the program, you also have to write stdio. Okay, the next line, we have int main void and then a curly brace. So basically, in C program, it's important to have an int main void. Okay, the reason why we have this line is because we are actually basically telling C that this is the main line of code that it has to run. Okay, so it is essential to actually have this during your starting time. Okay, when you want to start a program, you have to write this down, and it is a must. Okay, so when you have int main void, it'll actually run all of this within these two curly brace. Okay, this is a curly brace. Okay, next line, int range. So in worksheet 1.1, we actually talked about variables. Okay, so this is the line where we actually declare a variable. Okay, so right now we have range, and it is an integer variable. Okay, so what does an integer mean? Well, you can see back on top here. Integer is a number with no decimal points. Example of integers are 1, 100, 360, and 400,000. So basically, it can be any whole number without a decimal point. So that's basically what integer means. So in every C program, whenever we want to introduce a variable, we need to declare it. Okay. So right now we have this variable called wage because we're calculating the wage of people. Okay. And we have this integer variable. Okay. So basically wage is an integer variable. It can only accept whole numbers without a decimal point. So in the next line, we're actually assigning that variable with a value. So the value of 20 will actually be put into wage. Okay. The next line is basically a printf statement. So printing out salary is, and to actually print salary is onto the screen, we actually use this thing called printf. Okay. The next line will be printf %d comma wage times 40 times 50. So I'll explain this later. And then printf \n. So \n, we're basically printing um, a new line. We're just creating space. Okay. And next is return 0. So at return 0, you're basically telling C, okay, the program has completely ended. Okay. There's no other lines at all. Please close the program. That's what it basically means. Okay. And then we have a closing curly brace. So that is actually your very first C program. Okay. So let me explain what this line 6 means. Okay. So everything is basically explained from 1 to 8 over here. So you can always read it. And then let's see. Okay. Basically line 6. Let me show you this example. And I'm also going to teach you the what to print and where to print method as well. Basically, you can read about it here. Okay, so in this example, we actually have another printf statement, and it says here my wage is percent %d. You may be wondering what this is, and then comma wage, the variable wage. Okay, so whenever you have like this kind of line of code, you need to use the what to print and where to print method. Okay, let's start with what to print. So what do I mean by what to print? So basically, you have to tell C what variable to print to the screen. Okay, so in this line, we can actually tell that what to print is the variable wage. Okay, so you have to in order to assign a variable that needs to be printed, after you type in your sentence, put a comma and you put a variable at the end. Then you close that. Uh, you close with um, what do I call this again? Yeah, you close with a bracket. Okay, you close with a bracket and then you close with a semicolon. Okay, then you actually have to have a placeholder. So what do I mean by a placeholder? Well, basically, you're basically telling C where to actually print this line. Okay, so you already have wage. You need to tell exactly where to print. If you don't tell it, it wouldn't print anything, or it would it would just not run at all, depending on your compiler. So right now you actually tell it what to print, and then you actually tell it where to print as well. So you want to print the value of wage in this location. You could also like move it as well. So like let's say if I want to print it here, I can always put it there, and it will print the value of wage here by taking. I just have to take this off first. Yes, it'll actually print the value of wage here instead. But we don't want that. We want to print the value of wage here because it wouldn't make sense in this sentence. So just gonna copy this and put it there. Then I'm just gonna do this. So that's the reason why we have this percent %d. This percent %d is basically to tell where exactly to print this variable. Okay, and percent %d is native to integer variables. So you only can use percent %d for integer variables. I will teach you other placeholder like percent %f and percent %lf and percent %c later on when we deal with other types of variables. So that's basically it. Try to do all these programs as well, like these questions. Try to go through it. And you also have this new line of code. You can try to print it out. And I've also given you a link, okay? So let me just control click. So this will basically take you to this website where it's an online C compiler. Okay, so basically, you can actually write your code here. So whenever you have a piece of code, this is actually a very basic piece of code where we actually print hello world. Okay, so whenever you have this piece of code, you want to run it, you just click run, compiling program, and it prints out hello world. Okay, because this is a printf statement. And do notice the semicolons at the end. There's an int main and there's a library. So this is basically the basics of C program. So all you have to do is just copy this, okay, copy it, and then paste it here, and you should be able to run this as well. Yep, so basically it's run already over here. So let me show you what happens if I don't put this backslash n, okay? So I'm just going to delete this, get some space, and okay. Remember this output. So let me just try to run it again. So you see here, everything goes into one line. If you don't have the backslash n, you're not exactly creating a new line. So basically, by putting a backslash n, you're actually telling C like create a new line. Okay, backslash n, and let me go backslash n again. Okay, let me run it again. And you can see new lines are created. So keep calm, it goes to the new line, go back here, and new line, and then carry on. Okay. That's basically the reason why we have backslash n's, is to actually create new lines. Okay, conclusion, and then you also have a computer question. Okay, so I already give you the structure. You just have to write your code here. Okay, so your task is to actually find out what is Fifi's dog age. Okay, so right now in human years, Fifi is 5 years old, and to know how many dog years is Fifi, one has to multiply Fifi's age by 7. Okay, so basically what I want you to do is try to look at this code. Okay, it's very similar. Try to study this code and then try to interpret it in this context as well. Okay, all you have to do is actually create a variable like dog years and human years, and then store values into it, and then try to multiply it and print it out to the screen so that we can actually know what is Fifi's age. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I'll meet you soon.